It's now 13 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock on this Tuesday, which is usually Tuesday on the rocks. But of course, all things considered, we will be checking in with someone pretty soon about what Odpm is doing. So Trinidad and Tobago has been put under a tropical storm warning, which is expected to start from tonight at 8 p.m. and go on into Wednesday and supposedly is supposed to be ending around 5 p.m. on Wednesday. Now, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management is appealing to the public to put measures in place to prepare for the passage of the weather system and to continue to prepare for the wet and hurricane seasons. And on the line with me to talk more about these measures is Chief Executive Officer of the Odpm, retired Major General Rodney Smart. Good morning, sir. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Kimberly. I am fine, thanks. And let me say good morning to your viewing and listening audience.
Of course.
Thanks for having me.
Now, we heard at the press conference on Sunday, we know that ODPM has an entire month of preparedness, but we're looking at something different this time. I mean, what else can you tell to the public just to ensure that they are prepared and ready for this weather system that we're about to experience from this evening?
And let me start by saying, most importantly, for persons to be mentally prepared for what we are going to experience. We must come to this space ready, mentally ready, so that whatever calamity may befall us, we are ready for it. And you just indicated that for the month of May, we, alongside other stakeholders, the National Disaster Prevention and Preparedness Committee, went throughout Trinidad and Tobago preparing our citizens for these possibilities. So calmness, we have done this already. We have been through Tropical Storm Karen. I think that was the last one we had in 2019. So we have been through this. So most importantly at this stage, it is about finishing the preparations that persons should have been doing since May, getting their minds attuned, because we are going, if the models are correct, we are going to be having intense rainfall, heavy winds. It is extremely important that we take this period before we have those experiences to be ready. And when I say ready, I mean you personally ready, readying your family, readying your friends, and being part of community readiness.
Now, as it stands today or this morning, are physical things such as sand pits and sandbags still available at the regional corporations? Can people still go down and get those?
Right, the regional corporation remain our first line of defense in these kinds of situations. And I will say regional corporation, and I will include the Tobago Emergency Management Agency. And they have been preparing similarly. And the answer, therefore, is yes. Sandbags are available as well as sand. And I will encourage everyone to use the facilities that they have, but please do it as early as possible. We would want persons not to be on the road unnecessarily, and therefore we would like to avoid the sort of congestion you have in times like these. No need to panic, stay calm. We are going to get through this together as a nation.
Now, can you share some of the agencies, because you mentioned those state agencies a while ago, can you share some of the agencies that ODPM partners with? And of course, this will include agencies such as the TTFS and also the regiment, I believe.
Right. So I would have mentioned what we consider in the national system, what we consider to be the first line of defense, and supporting those agencies are our other first response agencies. So you mentioned the fire service. The police service also plays a very critical role in this. And in the event that matters go beyond the ability of our local agencies, the local being the disaster management units and TIMA, in the event it goes beyond that, we then would bring in the defense force, that is the regiment, the Coast Guard, the Air Guard, and the reserves. to support what is already happening. So we have a very integrated system. All agencies ready to go have been working, and Trinidad and Tobago could be assured that their national agencies are ready. I will also want to quickly add, we also have the Red Cross. The Red Cross is a humanitarian organization, say what TT. So we have NGOs, we have the state agencies, and we have private sector agencies, all within our national network, all who are ready and prepared to assist Trinidad and Tobago and the region, because we also have to keep our eyes on our neighbors in the region in the event something happens.
Of course. Now, I saw on the Facebook page there was a video about the grab and go bags that ODPM is encouraging people to have. Can you speak some more to
Yes,
this?
yes, we are asking all our citizens to have a grab and go bag in the event that you have to be evacuated. In the event you have to go to a shelter, and shelters are operated by the disaster management units of the Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government, and in Tobago by the Tobago Emergency Management Agency. So in the event you have to go to a shelter, it may be too late to attempt to start looking, packing items. So we say there are 7 critical things that you want to pay attention to: food, water, clothing, ensuring that your national documents are in a safe plastic sort of bag. If you have not as yet done so, please start doing so. We also speak on that video to items that you may need. For example, in this is a we are still in a pandemic, and we say you must remember the things like hand sanitizer, face mask. These things are important, especially in the event you may have to go to a shelter. Because while we are dealing with this hazard, the tropical wave, we do not want to have another situation where we now have to deal with the spread of COVID-19.
Now, as you mentioned that, I think I read or I may have heard before that there are COVID compliant and non-COVID compliant shelters, or all COVID compliant.
All our shelters, all of them in Trinidad and Tobago are COVID-19 compliant. And as part of the process of preparing them, another one of our national agencies, the Ministry of Health, would have gotten involved and would have assisted these local agencies, these local first response agencies in preparing those shelters. So people can be assured if they have to be evacuated or if they themselves choose to be evacuated, those shelters are ready, prepared, and COVID-19 compliant.
Now, as it relates to the National Emergency Operations Center, is it safe to say that operations have been activated at this center, or is this something different that the ODPM has to activate at this time?
The National Emergency Operations Center is a virtual as well as a physical center. Virtually, the National Emergency Operations Center has been activated over the past few days. And the components of that are some of those agencies I would have called previously, but also includes the utilities. So TSTT is there, TNTech is there, Digicel is there. All are represented. When we look at a situation that could turn into a disaster, we think about what are those lifelines our country needs to be able to get back to normalcy. And all those agencies are represented. So virtually, collaboration has been taking place, coordination has been taking place over the past few days. And now today, as we get closer to the event, what is going to happen today is the full activation, if necessary, of the National Emergency Operations Center. And here we're going to have those agencies coming in. But everything is dependent on our probably very, very important agency, and we call them our early warning agency. the TT Met, Trinidad and Tobago Met Service, because they are our early warning. And if they say to us that given the intensity of this tropical wave, probably as they have indicated, it could turn into a storm, we need to ramp up operations. All these agencies are ready because they have been preparing over the past few days. So Trinidad and Tobago can be assured that we have a very robust system in place that has worked for us in the past and will certainly work in this situation, not only comprising national agencies, but also humanitarian agencies and the public sector as well.
Right. Now, while able-bodied people can move about and we can be able to go to the grocery and, buy stuff and protect ourselves, any words of advice on how we can protect or even assist the vulnerable in the community? So, for example, those who might be the older ones, the children. Any words of advice, to how we can also help them during this time?
Yes, Kimberly, and as you pose that question to me, you remind me of one of the videos that we would have developed for the National Disaster Prevention Preparedness Month, where in week 4 we use the theme act and assist others. Act and assist others. And when we say others, we mean your immediate family, we mean your neighbors, we mean your wider community, but critically important are those persons who may be shut-ins, those persons who, as you indicated, are elderly, those persons who are probably single parent and need assistance. So we are saying to the national community, while you see about yourself, while you see about your family and your loved ones, remember in your community there are people who need support. But additional to that, the disaster management units, as well as the Tobago Emergency Management Agency, they have databases, and in their databases, they are aware of some of these persons who would need assistance. Similarly, the Ministry of Health. So know that persons will not be left alone. And if it becomes necessary and there's a need to evacuate persons to shelter, I am asking and requesting of my nationals, please do not leave the neighbor who may need assistance and evacuate. Remember that neighbor. We are in this together. We will get through it together, and we don't want to lose a single life. We don't want as well to have any of our people injured unnecessarily.
And of course, can we safely say that Tobago will be covered by TEMA, or is there also a partnership between the ODPM and TEMA to ensure that people on the island are also protected?
As I would have indicated before, Kimberly, so at the local level, TEMA operates in Tobago at the local level, similar to our disaster management units, which operate in our 14 corporations. So the system speaks to the local level assistance that certainly will be there. Now, in the event they become overwhelmed, more resources are required. Here is where the national system comes into play, and the ODPM coordination becomes extremely important because it may mean asking the defense force to supplement its assets that are already in Tobago. It may mean doing the same thing with the fire service. And then how do we coordinate moving these assets across the Tobago? And here is where the ferry service becomes important. Here's where Caribbean Airlines become important. So it's an entire integrated system to support whether it is Pinal Debe, whether it is Charlottesville, wherever the help is needed, the national system is there. I will also share with you, within Trinidad and Tobago, our disaster management units, their methodology is that if one corporation is compromised, they will receive support from the other corporations. And it's the same sort of thinking we apply to Tobago.
Right.
So Tobago is assured Trinidad is there to support them, and vice versa. Trinidad is assured that Tobago is there to support it.
And retired Major General Smart, for more information, we can go to ODPM's Facebook page for those numbers and stuff like that, yes?
Yes, the ODPM page, and we ask you kindly to use the ODPM, the Trinidad and Tobago Med Service, TTT, right? The other networks to get reliable information, because unfortunately, in situations like this, you have mischievous people who take the opportunity to distress citizens. So we ask you to use the official sources of information.
Nice. Retired Major General Rodney Smart, thank you so much for coming on the Now Morning Show and just sharing what we can do as we look forward to that weather system, as we prepare rather for that weather system that's happening this evening. Thank you so much for joining us on the Now Morning Show. And that was the Chief Executive Officer of the ODPM, retired Major General Rodney Smart, just sharing how we can prepare for that weather system that is expected to hit at around 8 p.m. tonight. You're on the Now Morning Show. We're going to take a break and be right back. Stay with us.